ACC tip-off is going on this week, and that means it's time for some preseason All-ACC projections. The good news, I had a hard time picking which Tar Heel to use.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, 1 month to the day before Carolina welcomes Kansas to the Smith Center. That is crazy. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making this your first listen or watch to get your Tuesday going the right way. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Check it out. Special shout out to all the everydayers who are here with us on the show today, as well as all the Locked On Tar Heels Discord members. That's a great community to be a part of. If you're not, you should be. And our Locked On Tar Heels insiders as well, folks going next level with the show. Here's what we're doing on the show today. ACC tip-off is going on this week for the men and the women, so I thought it'd be a good time to share my preseason All-ACC teams and my preseason All-ACC rankings tiers. So we'll do that. And then at the end of the show, we'll get to about football news. Stuff got wacky on Monday, man. They got to get some stuff figured out with the football side of things. But here we go. ACC tip-off happening this week. On the women's side, both Renaya Kelly and India Navarre went with Coach Banghart. They were actually up yesterday, so that's already happened. That was Monday. And so you can go check out all the footage from that. The guys are today, the Tar Heel men. The ACC spreads this out over the course of 3 days, but today, 3 to 3:15 is the men's slot on their main side of things. That'll be Coach Davis, along with Seth Trimble and Henri Veesaar. Some great representation for the Tar Heels, and man, that'll be good. I bet Henry's going to get asked a lot about Carolina's misses in the front court last year and him being that guy this year. So watch for that. Also, as a note, the ACC is going to release their preseason awards next Tuesday, a week from today, October 14th. That will include the preseason poll, preseason All-ACC teams, which is usually 2 teams of 5 players each, preseason player of the year, as well as preseason rookie of the year. Cam Boozer's going to win that. Let's just go ahead and say that right now. But I suspect Caleb Wilson will get a couple votes, as will Mikel Brown at Louisville. So keep an eye on that. All of that setup said, I want to give you my predictions for the, not predictions, because I'm not going to predict what they're going to do. So I'm going to get rid of the word predictions, and I'm going to say I'm going to give you my preseason All-ACC teams. This is Isaac's teams. So I'm going to do the same thing the ACC will officially do. I will give you 2 5-man teams. For those of you that watch Locked On College Basketball, you know that one of the things we do on there, we're doing our conference previews right now, is when we pick our preseason all-conference teams, we're not allowed to use more than one player from the same team. So on the first team, I cannot repeat any schools, but I can on the second team. But then I can't repeat within the second team. Does that make sense? So 1 per player, per school, per team, whatever. Okay. So here's my first team. Cam Boozer from Duke. Darion Williams from NC State. He's a guy that transferred in. I really wanted him. I honestly thought Kansas was going to land him. He's a Texas Tech transfer, was phenomenal for them last year. Big help in that comeback against St. John's before they ultimately fell to Florida. Again, they probably should have won, but Darion Williams comes over to join Will Wade at NC State, and he's going to be great. He's kind of a small ball 4, really more of a 3, so I'm curious to see how they'll use him because NC State doesn't have a ton of height. I think he will probably be their starting 4. By the way, that's the position that Cam Boozer plays. He will be Duke's 4. Next on my list is Marcus Burton from Notre Dame. You've seen him in action against the Tar Heels multiple times now. This dude is just a walking bucket if ever there was one. He's shorter. He's a short king, but my goodness, this dude can ball. He can put the ball in the bucket. And with Braden Shrewsbury back in the mix, maybe Notre Dame will be a little better this year. And that's where Marcus Burton's going to get dinged and hurt, is because Notre Dame's not going to be a great team. But there you go. The other two guys I would have to round out the first team are two more freshmen to join Cam Boozer. One is Mikel Brown at Louisville. He's probably going to be there. It'll be like him and Isaac McNeely as part of their backcourt. Isaac McNeely just raining threes from everywhere. He's a phenomenal shooter. And Mikel Brown able to really, really ball. I mean, he's just very good. And that was on display this summer. And then the fifth member I would have of the first team is none other. Suspense on purpose, saved my first Tar Heel for the end here. And I'm going to go with Caleb Wilson. And it's funny, when we did our ACC preview on Locked On College Basketball, I went with Seth, but I've switched it since, because I believe that when you think about what people do when they vote for these, it's about some of those things that pop and really show off. And I just, with all the noise with Caleb, he's going to be that guy. And so I ultimately, that's who to go with there. Second team, let's turn our attention there. And this is where I had trouble. The teams that were used in the first team, I can open up, but I can only use one. And Louisville, I really debated long and hard between Ryan Conwell and Isaac McNeely. I'm ultimately going to go with Ryan Conwell because I think he's a better all-around player, while Isaac McNeely is a better shooter for Louisville, but still two phenomenal players. But I'm going with Conwell. For Virginia, I thought about going with Tyster Reader, one of their new players, international player. But I decided to go with Malik Thomas from Virginia for this slot. I think he's a very good player. I think he's going to help Ryan Odom in his first year there in Charlottesville. And so that'll be a really good thing. I'm going to go with Isaiah Evans from Duke. I think he takes a massive step forward this year, going to hit a lot of shots and be dynamic from outside for Duke. It's just the factor there. And so I'm on the lookout for that. While I took Seth off my first team, I'm going to put him on my second team. And I legitimately struggled with, I joked about it in the cold open, struggled with what Tar Heel to pick, whether Seth, whether Henri. Seth, because of the leadership and everything he's done and will continue to do from on-court production as well. And so Seth Trimble, I think then is kind of my clear and obvious choice to be the fifth player for me on this list. As for my fifth, I'm going to go a little bit out of left field. Maybe somebody you wouldn't expect. I'm going with SMU's Boopy Miller. If you remember last year, Boopy started off hot. He's a great offensive player, and that's the kind of player that pops on lists and teams like this. So SMU probably kind of middling in the ACC, but I think Boopy's going to make a big impact again this year. A boop, you could say that he will make. Interestingly, a couple other entities came out with their teams, and I'll spare you everyone. But I bring it up to say, once again, a whole bunch of Tar Heel representation. So USA Today, a whole bunch of their different writers put teams together. And the first team had no Tar Heels. It was Darion Williams, Cam Boozer, Marcus Burton, Mikel Brown, and Ryan Conwell. So names I put on my team. But interestingly, there were three different Tar Heels on the second team, along with Isaiah Evans from Duke and Malik Reneau from Miami. He's the Indiana transfer. On the second team, USA Today wound up having Henri, Veesaar, Caleb Wilson, and Seth Trimble. And a quick scan tells me I don't think any other school had that many on it. So that's really neat. Another example, Ryan Hammer, who does a great job covering college basketball. He had a three-team preseason All-ACC. And on his second team, he had both Caleb Wilson and Luka Bogavac. So between USA Today and Ryan Hammer, 4 of the projected 5 Carolina starters were honored in some way or fashion. And so, again, I think that just tells you about the depth that this Tar Heel team has, and that's such good news. Now, the next question is, how are all these teams going to play out? Can Carolina rise to the top? Will Duke maintain their hold that they had on it last year? Will Louisville stay up there? Will Clemson, Virginia? What's everybody going to look like? We'll get to that, and I'll give you my ACC tiers, and then we'll beat it up a little bit coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. So don't miss the excitement of this football season with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Playing Prize Picks is such a fun and simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, kind of like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley's rushing for a touchdown. If Saquon's touchdowns are set at 1 for rushing touchdowns, you just pick more, meaning 2 or more, or less, meaning 0. And then you're in the game. Prize Picks just added a really cool feature that I like called stacks. Basically, if there's a player you really trust and you just want to ride with him for passing yards, rushing yards, whatever it is, you can do that all in one lineup. Stacks. Another feature I think is really cool is the injury reboot feature, meaning if your player leaves early and doesn't return, it doesn't count against you. That's really cool. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you use your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, let's talk ACC rankings now, which is a good moment to say, if traditional dates hold, the AP preseason top 25 will come out next Monday. That'll be a lot of fun. We can beat that up and talk about it on Tuesday's show. Cool stuff there. As for my ACC tiers, I like to do this. If you listen to me a lot, I play fantasy football. I love it, and I think it's a lot of fun. But one of the things I've picked up from playing fantasy sports is the idea of tiers, where basically when you're drafting, it's like you're not so locked in on one player, but you know that a group of players is all kind of at this same level, just above or just below the next tier. And that's where you think maybe there's a drop off down to the next tier. So I've started applying that to my ranking of teams. So rather than just going, boom, 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 it's like a clump of teams all together. Now, there are 18 ACC teams, and I've got 7 tiers this year. I'll explain them as I go. My first tier is Duke and Louisville. On paper right now, and again, this is all just preseason speculation. Could completely change the second we get to November 3rd, and it's like, oh, that team is not what we thought it was. They're much better or much worse, whatever it is. Right now, preseason, the smart thing for me is to have Duke and Louisville in the top tier, just the two of them. They proved it last year, and they returned a lot or added a lot. Whereas, who was it? Was it Clemson that was up at the top with them last year? Now I'm second guessing myself on that in real time. Forgive me. Let's look. Clemson and Louisville were both 18-2, just behind Duke's 19-1. I don't think Clemson did enough this offseason to warrant being back up at the top. But Louisville, check. Duke, yeah. So right now I've got them in my top tier, just those two. Interestingly, though, I really, really believe in these Tar Heels, and I really think they could do a lot, but they haven't earned the preseason doubt, the benefit of the preseason doubt that you've seen at Duke and Louisville, for example. And so with Carolina, I got to hold a little bit of judgment. And so I've actually got them all alone by themselves in tier 2. Kind of funny, right? But it makes sense because I think they are talented enough and capable enough to be in tier 1 with Duke and Louisville, but they got to prove it first, whereas Duke and Louisville already have. Tier 3, just behind Carolina. And again, I didn't think these teams were close enough to Carolina to put them in the same tier. And so that's why I have the Tar Heels by themselves. This is a 3-team tier for me. I've got NC State, who I think legitimately is going to be pretty good this year. A lot of people I've heard, a lot of Tar Heels fans, I guess I should specify, saying like, nah, they ain't it. Look, NC State's got talent, you guys. It's going to be a formidable opponent that we've got to reckon with. So keep that in mind. But NC State, Virginia, Clemson, that's my 3rd tier. I think Virginia with new coach Ryan Odom is going to be really good. If you're not familiar with him, he's Dave Odom's son. Remember Dave that coached at Wake Forest for a long time? He used to be an assistant at Virginia. And so Ryan kind of grew up around there. Ryan's been to a couple different places, most recently VCU, and now he comes over to coach Virginia. He's really, really good. They got some great talent that came in, and I think they're going to be not back to what they were at the Tony Bennett heyday, but they're going to be good again. And similarly, Clemson, as I said a couple minutes ago, I don't think they did as much as Louisville to maintain where they were at or near the top of the conference, but they're also not going to fall off a cliff. I think Clemson's going to be strong, but again, not elite like they were last year in ACC terms. So I've got them in tier 3. Tier 4, this is my grab bag. I've got 5 teams in tier 4: Miami, Pitt, Notre Dame, SMU, and Syracuse. And you could quibble maybe about a couple other teams, but I think these are the 5 that are the conundrum to me, but I think have some talent, right? Like Miami brings in Jay Lucas to be their head coach. They steal Shelton Henderson away from Duke. They get Malik Reneau. They've got some other talent that comes in that I think is going to make Miami strong this year and good. And Jay Lucas, I think, is going to be a good coach. Pitt, they're always kind of right there right now with Coach Capel and what they're doing. I said it earlier, but Marcus Burton can single-handedly kind of will Notre Dame to some wins, so I've got them here. SMU, remember last year, they were a really good offensive team. Their defense was porous. And so can they take steps forward there? I think the offense is good enough to have them here in tier 4, though. And then rounding that off with Syracuse, they've added some good pieces. JJ Starling still there. And so they've just got some things that I think are going to work. You know, they got Nate Georgian in the transfer portal, the Georgia Tech point guard that I thought Carolina was going to maybe land, and Syracuse does. Tier 5, 3 schools here: Wake Forest, Hunter Salas is out the door, several other key pieces, and so I think they take a step back. Georgia Tech, and then Florida State. Florida State's one of 4 ACC schools with a brand new coach. It's Luke Laux, who played there and is now coming back around. Georgia Tech, under Damon Stoudemire, they have these flashes, but it's not sustained or consistent enough. And when they're not doing that, I feel like they're down here. So I feel like tier 5 was appropriate for the Yellow Jackets. Tier 6 and 7, yeah, you could probably combine these into one, but I've got Cal and Virginia Tech in tier 6, and then Stanford and BC, who Carolina unfortunately does not play this year, in tier 7. So, again, I think maybe you could combine all 4 of those: Cal, Stanford, Virginia Tech, and Boston College into one tier, but there it is. So there are my tiers. Beat them up if you want to. Duke and Louisville, tier 1, Carolina, tier 2, NC State, Virginia, Clemson, tier 3, Miami, Pitt, Notre Dame, SMU, Syracuse, tier 4, Wake, Georgia Tech, Florida State, tier 5, Cal and Virginia Tech, 6, and Stanford and BC, 7. And a lot of that is pretty much in line with other things like FanDuel odds line up with that pretty closely. Duke, then Louisville, and then a bit of a drop off to Carolina and NC State, which, funny enough, as I'm looking back, is literally the same top 4 that I have in that same order. And then it starts to change after that. Like I have Clemson next, which I don't in my tiers. I have them behind Virginia. So, a lot of that does tend to line up. USA Today's poll, I think, is a bit off. They go Duke, Louisville, State, and then Carolina. I think State is going to be better. I just don't see them being better than Carolina. I truly don't. And that's not NC State bias. It's just Carolina's the more superior, talented team. And they should be the better of the 2. So there you go. There's my ACC tiers. Beat them up. Have fun with those. Next, it was an odd Monday for Carolina football, and I don't know what to make of it, but I do know that it ain't good. We'll unpack that all coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about game time, college football is here, and even though Carolina's struggling, I couldn't be more excited. It's so fun. Tailgates, rivalries, energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Battling endless lines, hidden fees going up, skyrocketing the second you get to checkout screen, man. It's crazy. And that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. Truly, what you see is what you pay. And really, it's faster and cheaper and less stressful than any other way I've found to buy tickets. And I love that I can find views from the seat right there in the app. So go check out some Carolina tickets. I know they're off at Cal next week, but then they'll be back at home. Basketball tickets are going to start dropping in there. November 3rd is the first game, Central Arkansas. Go and find some tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. This episode is also brought to you by Square. You need to know that your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that truly make the neighborhood feel like home. So whether it's the local sports bar that's packed on game day, maybe the coffee shop that knows your name, your order the second you walk in the door, or that corner deli that's been faithfully serving your community for decades, these are the places that bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Here's what supporting a community looks like. It's not just supporting the business. Spending money there also supports the people behind it and the community around it. And that's what we're trying to get to. All these local spots are what make a neighborhood feel like home. And so many of them run on Square. An example is Hawthorne and Wood. So Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses all around the world. Right now, you can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. I don't know how else to say it. Things aren't good right now for Carolina football. And we already knew that was true on the field of play, where Carolina is now 2-3, including going 0-3 against Power 4 competition and being outscored 120-33. Not good. But it's one thing to be not good on the football field. It's another thing for there to just be this weird stuff going on off the field that doesn't look good and doesn't feel good and doesn't smell good. Whatever of that is true, it's true. Carolina football is in disarray right now. And it feels like the reporting got out of hand, or that things got out of hand. Not the reporting got out of hand. People were faithfully doing what they needed to do. But on Monday, the football news was like, what? Huh? What? Man. So the one that stuck out to me the most was apparently quarterback Gio Lopez got into an accident a couple days before the TCU game. So Carolina played TCU on Monday, November 1st, right? That was Labor Day. And in this article from Brian Murphy of WRAL, he says, quote, a vehicle being driven by Gio Lopez was struck on the morning of August 26th by another driver who was cited for failure to yield the right of way for the crash, according to the crash report, blah, blah, blah. And first off, how are we, 5 weeks after that? And we're just now learning about this? And I get it, privacy, and you want to take care of Gio and not air all his dirty laundry, which this isn't even dirty laundry because he's not at fault. But I feel like at some point, somebody should have said, hey, just so you're aware, Gio Lopez was in a minor car accident. He's fine. He's good to go, if that's true. And so he's going to stay as QB1 for this TCU game in the foreseeable future. Cool. Sounds great. Let's see how he does. But there was none of that. So that just makes zero sense to me. Is how is that not going to come out? So there's that weirdness, which, again, I know you don't want to give an edge to an opponent and you don't want to let them know your stuff, but that's weird, man. That's so weird to me. Second thing, you recall a couple weeks ago, Coach Belichick was asked about the whole not allowing Patriots scouts to Chapel Hill to be at practice or whatever it is. And his response was basically like, well, I'm not allowed at their facility, so they're not allowed at ours. And at the time of that, I thought, oh, that's funny. That's cute. What an endearing little moment for Uncle Bill. But then it's now there's reporting that's coming out on Monday that sounds like there's all this extra pettiness of hey, we're putting a moratorium on talking about any Patriots stuff or celebrating any Patriots stuff. And a Drake May video was put out. So Sunday night after Drake May had that crazy throw where he had defenders draped all over him, got that throw to Steph Diggs, I just reposted the video of when he did it left-handed for a touchdown against Pitt a couple years ago. Had a couple defenders draped on him and, just made a ridiculous play. I put that out on Sunday night. Just the footage of the left-handed touchdown against Pitt. And I mean, as we sit here and talk now, this thing's wild. It's got so many, it's where to go. Yeah. 3.9 thousand likes, 168 retweets, and like 170,000 views. It's like, what? This is crazy. But then the Carolina football account puts out that very thing, but like Monday morning. And at that point, it felt forced. Apparently behind the scenes, it came from on high down to those guys of like, hey, you're going to put this out, social media. And so while I thought it was cute and funny when it was just like, yeah, they don't let me in, so I'm not letting them in. Okay, cool, great. But now, like, we're not celebrating Drake May. It's just, it sounds like things are not good with football. And from all the buzz, it's bad behind the scenes too. I don't know the ins and outs. And so I'm not going to report on those right now. But this thing seems like it's going, like the wind seems like it's going south pretty quick here. And I don't know what that's going to mean or look like, or if things are going to change. But it would feel odd to me, like if there is legit conversations around, like, do we move on from Bill Belichick? Like, if that's the conversation it is, a couple things there. Number one, feels odd to move on from a coach unless there's just, probable cause for termination or something like that. But to move on from a coach who was hired after the portal opened, who was given a shortened window to get it all figured out and get all these guys together, it's not going to happen, right? So for my money's worth, you see what a second year looks like, at least. And if that's an issue, cool. Pull the ripcord. You got to do what you got to do. You can't wait around in this NIL era. But the other thing I would say is that if this falls apart badly, more than it's already done so, I guess I would say, remember, there were board of trustee members who like pushed this Belichick through, rammed this thing through, kind of going around Bubba and in some ways. And so if this thing fails, I feel like they're already maligned for some of the ways they've handled things, all the more so if it's like, this didn't work out and it's on you. And Bubba can take that into retirement with him, right? So there's just a lot to be considered there and keep eyes on. So football is in a weird spot. We're going to keep our eyes on it, but man, I don't know what to make of it right now. Like, how seriously to take some of the weirdness. Is it like, is this done? Are we moving on? Or is it just like, hey, just keep pushing. You get things figured out. I don't know the answer to that right now. But what I do know is that's the end of the show and it's time to get out of here. Coming up tomorrow, Josh Marlowe joins me for the final roster preview episode. Luka Bogavac, Coach Rob will be with me on Thursday. On Friday, we will have Ariel Bynum joining me to kind of unpack ACC Media Days and everything he saw there. So should be a great week of shows. Excited for them all. You guys, if you've not subscribed to the show already, do so now so you don't miss a second. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord or Locked On Tar Heels Insiders show notes, those links are in there. We'd love to have you join us. But for now, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. As I said, we'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.